pleased to be here and to share with you maybe some experiences and some, maybe hopefully some knowledge, and so that you can have some idea of what it's like to be growing up in a world like this. I grew up thousands of miles away in a place called Guyana. It's very close to Ghana. So when we went to England, bosses asked us, "Where are you from?" And we said, "Guyana." They asked me, "Ghana?" And we didn't feel very nice about it. But nevertheless, we had to accept it. Ghana and Guyana. One of the products that you've produced is gold, and the whole country was known as the Gold Coast. We have a lot in common. Where I'm from, there was what we call a myth. It was a land of gold. It was called El Dorado. So your land was called the Gold Coast, and our land was called El Dorado. And the streets were supposed to be paved with gold. It was a myth, a story. And lots of people, pirates people who were captains of ships with guns, came down from Portugal, from France, from England, from you name it, in order to get the gold. In the same way they came here to get gold from us. Yes, so we have that much in common. And also what we have in common was the various people that we lived among. Ghana has a number of tribes, a number of national groups. We have Portuguese living there, we have Chinese, we have Indians, we have all the Europeans, and we have the Amerindians. The Amerindians were people who were originally there. And you know what happened? The white man came and he said he discovered the country. This time the country was there. Nature created South America millions of years ago. But the white man tells us they discovered the country. And so the people who were there, they discovered them. So we were all interrelated. You have got national groups and tribes here which are make one country. We have them, but they're different. What you call a multicultural society. And one of the challenges is that we have lost most of our African heritage. We have what's called, we've been deculturalized. All the culture that you carry with you and your parents carry with you, we've lost it. So we had to create a new person. Can you imagine? We are a new person in the world, comprising of all sorts of cultures and all sorts of different experiences because of our forefathers. At that time, thousands of years ago, slavery existed all over the world. Not only what we were getting through, all over the world, one kind or another, it existed. But we were particularly affected by the kind of slavery, taken away from Africa and put on ships, put on Elmina Castle, put on ships and taken thousands of miles away to plant sugarcane, tobacco, cotton, and all the various products that the Europeans wanted. So that's where we've come from. There were 11 of us children in the home. 11. Right. Fortunately, they weren't born at the same time, of course. Unfortunately, we never lived in the same house together at one time. And I was in the middle. Well, I don't know now that I mention it, think about it maybe, if you're part of a large group, or a large family, and you're in the middle, it means that the older ones are too old for you to play with. The younger ones are too young for you to play with, so you're in the middle. And the price you have to pay is that most of the housework you have to do. The older ones have maybe started working or going to school or whatever. The younger ones in the cradles, most of the work I had to do. We had fowls, we had a goat, we had goats, we had chickens. We never said it. Nowadays, you say chicken. We never use chicken are small. The small children are fowls. We had fowls. We had a goat, and I had to take care of them. And one of the challenges for me every morning is that I had to make sure that if the fowls were going to lay an egg, I had to make sure the fowl doesn't go over in our neighbor's yard and lay the eggs there, because the neighbors will claim the eggs. So I had to make sure that those fowls lay the egg in my parents' compound, else it was trouble. I had to go to market to get things. I had to get wood in the morning because there's no gas or electricity to cook with. I had to get wood, I had to go to market, and then I had to go to school. So I had work to do before going to school. I don't know whether any of you do, I'm sure you do. But that's the kind of, and one of the things my parents, this is one of the strange things. Whenever we are playing in the compound or yard, children are playing, my parents always said to us, get a book and read. They never liked us to play. Get a book and read. And you know what the situation was? There were no books. There were no books. The only book was the Bible. Will you believe me? But they constantly build that up in your head. Get a book and read, get a book and read. And it's interesting that it just went through one ear, went through one ear and through the other. But one of the first things when I started to read, when I started to work, I worked as a postman first. I imported books from the United States. So that whatever my parents drilled into me as a child, yes, drilled into me, somehow had some kind of meaning to me. That's the first contact I had with books. I never had a school bag. Do you have a school bag? Yes? I've never had one. I never had enough books to put into a school bag. But yet, first thing I did is to import books in the States. And so, literature, printing, publishing, writing has been with me all my life. There's a long story to it. Let's have a slight gap now. Huh?
At long last,
Yes.
your wish to visit Ghana
Okay.
has come into fruition.
Into fruition, yes.
We thank God. But you speak like somebody who is 40 years old.
From?
Like somebody who is about 40 years. It's amazing that despite your age, everything you say is so clear. We hear everything. We thank God for that.
One of the main books we published was Dr. Walter. We did Dr. Walter Rodney. That's the author. But one of the main books, 2 books he did for us. How Europe Underdeveloped Africa and Groundings with My Brothers. The Rastafarians that you see in the society today, you know the Rastafarians? With locks, people who have locks and so on. They were very instrumental in Jamaica to give us a new breath of life about Africa. They were the first people, and Garvey, Marcus Garvey, these are two names you must remember, Rastafarians, the music they brought to us. And they brought Africa to the whole society, Rastafarians. Michelle, yeah. Did Michelle visit here?
Yes, she did.
Michelle, yeah. Michelle, yeah. So we are very close with each other. And she's the person who would make contact with you again. And I hope that this visit it wouldn't be a one visit and we don't see or contact each other again. We hope it's a visit which has continuing some kind of contact. So that whatever we can do to support you, we will be prepared to do so.